So we're going to table the minutes until we have a quorum, and we'll start with the EDC 2024 meeting schedule. I have that here. So we've got dates starting, it's the second Thursday of the month through the year, starting Thursday, January 11th at 6 p.m. here at...
Sorry, calendar on Apple.
Yeah, thank you. Here at Town Hall. So this schedule takes us from January 11th through January 9th of 2025. So does anyone want to make a motion, or
I think we gotta wait for
we have to wait for that one? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
Sorry.
Comment? All right, go back to the agenda.
I may have a conflict with the first one, but
All right, so I'll just go to some of the updates that I'm aware of. So last week I spoke to Dale Krupp for a while. I've sat in on a couple of the EDC meetings with the Greater New Haven Chamber, and Dale's been sort of a head figure of that group for a while. He just retired from the town of Hamden, and he's doing consulting services, and he's teamed up with Rex Development to put together like a menu of services that can be offered to town EDC commissions. We sent it around. I'm not going to read through all of it, but it's interesting. And I think that we can go through some of this stuff, but I think his services, especially since we just had an election and there's going to be new people coming on board and people leaving and whatever, I think that it may be a good idea to sort of schedule something with Dale to come in, like the second meeting of the new year or something, after you sort of, do we get everything underfoot?
I think that's an excellent idea.
this was really interesting, Jeremy. Like, I think the strategic planning, long-range planning
Yeah.
would be beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, there's even on-call staff coverage. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things here. Workforce development, strategic planning, collaboration ideas, and then they can act as a resource. They can help, with preparing applications for grants and leading you in the right direction. So it's pretty fan-friendly, for lack of a better word. But I don't know if there's an application process to ask for their services. I didn't quite get that from Dale, but I can certainly ask what the process is to engage them and to find out what services they can offer.
Do we pay Rex on an annual basis to be their membership dues or something? I don't recall that in the budget.
I believe the town does.
Okay.
But let me confirm
Okay.
for you, okay? And I'll send around an email.
And I know we pay like a CETUS. We pay for CETUS, I believe. If there's a membership.
I'll double check.
But it was definitely, it was a good conversation. And Dale, I've known him for a long time, and he's definitely, ready, willing, and open to help. So it could be a good collaboration for us in the future.
We could have like a dialogue amongst ourselves,
Mhm.
and what we think our priorities are. I think that was
Yeah.
a big gap we had,
Yeah.
right? And then once we kind of say, hey, this is what each of us thinks are the priorities,
Right.
we start to put some projects together.
Yeah, and I guess in the meantime, I'll reach out to him again and just say, what is the process for engaging you if, once, we have an idea of what we could use your services for. So we'll go from there. 2024 EDC appointments and chairperson, is that something we should be discussing now, or?
Well, the EDC, so there's 3 people missing from the group, right? So I believe the appointments, that there's a new selectman, Lisa will be here. At some point, I guess there will be discussion about appointments across the board for all boards and commissions.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the timing of that, I don't know if it'll have to happen after January. I'm not very clear on that.
I believe we're actually 4, because Cleo had mentioned in an email that she's not re-upping. So
All right.
we're a total of 8, right? As of-
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna have 4 openings, and I think it's probably does make sense for the new people, the new, Mika, to get started, and they can start fielding any sort of, people from the community that are expressing interest, right?
I think the appointments come from the town Republican committee and the Democrat Republican committee, but I mean, I believe they make recommendations.
Oh, that's right. You're right. You're
They
right.
make
Yeah.
recommendations,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
appointments are made.
Okay. Right. So the question is, like, do we wait till after that's done for the?
Yeah, you need to have a whole new,
Right.
because my term, I have to re-up for another 3 years if that's what I'm gonna do. My term's up. And then.
Yours
when
is up in December.
Mine's up, yeah, now. And then there is, you're gonna have 8 people, and those 8 people would choose who would be the new
Right,
chairperson
right.
and vice chairperson, and so on and so forth. And to be really honest, I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. I'm so busy right now. My brain is a little bit all over the place, so I have to think. So yeah, I guess this is something that we just need to. You're going to get a notice, I guess, from the 2 different commissions, 2 different government bodies, and
You know, I'm not,
I hear
I'm
you.
not involved in that process.
Yep.
Okay, but, I know that's typically, recommendations are made, and I'm sure that at some point Mika will be involved with.
When does Mika like sworn in?
So the swearing in ceremony, I believe, is in January. I could find out more of those details. I don't know if he's planning to sit down with different, I'm not sure of his plans yet.
I mean,
I mean, I suspect he'd want to meet with the chairs of the various boards and commissions, I would think. But, he was just elected 2 days ago.
right. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't really know what his timing is, or I'm sure there's gonna be a transition period for him, so
Yeah, sure.
I don't know what that will look like, truthfully.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say is I'm certain that each, Democratic Town Committee and the Republican Town Committee have this on their radar. But I mean, just as for us, I'll touch base with each one of them just to say, hey, like, we're aware of this as well, so let's try to make sure we're working on potential candidates, right? So, I can do that I'm on the DTC, so I can do that, and I know people on the Republican Town Committee, so I can do that, unless you wanna do that. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it.
I really don't have any connection.
Okay. So, I'll just do it informally, I guess, just to.
And then I would think, if anyone's interested in being a chair, then there would have to be a motion once everybody's in place to.
Right.
So we would have to motion for that person
Mm-hmm.
Right.
to be chair, and we move forward with that.
Okay. Next item, let's just finish up the vice chair updates and then we can go back to do the minutes and stuff. 23rd task force update. I don't have any updates. Literally haven't met since the last time we had an EDC meeting. But I just got an email from, I forget who, maybe it was you, Tony, about a special meeting to happen, and I put it on my calendar. I don't remember
November
the dates.
21st.
November 21st. So that is going to be. You want to give the details of it?
Sure. So I believe, in terms of the grant, that SCROG recommended that the town get the application in for the grants as soon as possible.
Yep.
So with that said, I think the 2030 task force was looking for the consultant SLR to help with the application process. And so Tony Genovese reached out, and a proposal was expected back at the end of next week. And then
Yeah.
the 2030 task force will be reviewing that proposal
Mm-hmm.
that SLR is putting together, so that they can move ahead with making recommendations to the Board of Selectmen, and then moving forward with submitting the application to the appropriate parties. I think it's SCROG and Connecticut DOT. So I think they just want to move forward with that sooner than later, given SCROG's recent recommendation.
So the meeting's Tuesday, the 21st. It's at 4 o'clock on WebEx. And it's gonna be going over the lot zip application and trying to get that moving forward, so. That's it for 2030. I don't have anything else. But we can pop back up to the minutes. So does anyone make a motion to do a sweeping approval of the minutes from May, June, September, and October?
So moves.
I'll make the motion.
No,
Okay. Anyone second it?
no, so-
Any questions? Any comments? Discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Pass. And then now we can go over the EDC meeting schedule for 2024. It was included in the email package. Dates are basically the same as they are now, 6 o'clock, second Thursday of the month, starting January 11th, I think.
Yes,
that's
I
what
will
it is.
say that 6 o'clock obviously is hard for me. I don't know if anybody,
Are you gonna stay on?
oh, yeah, that's true. I'm not staying on, so it doesn't matter.
I was like, oh, okay, well,
I'll just worry about December.
okay, all right.
So does anyone else have any comments on the dates, times?
I'm cool with 6. How about you?
Like it would be better if it was either an hour earlier, but that's like hard, I guess, in certain days, or an hour later. Like
Oh.
we did a 7, but I don't know what the coverage is.
We used to, I think we used to be 7, right? And we
Used to be
pushed it up a little bit just
Yeah.
to try to make it closer to when work lets out, right?
Yeah, I mean, 6 has worked for us,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
given our schedules, but when you consider 4 new people.
Right.
Just keep it at 6, and then we can always, once we get our 4 new people,
Right.
we can reevaluate. So maybe we
Yeah.
would make a motion to approve and reconsider or something in the future, but
I'm okay with that.
I think you can approve the dates without the time.
oh sure.
I don't know,
Well, what happens is we have to record the schedule at the town clerk's office.
even the
So
time.
there's no, well, yeah, it's on the
Okay.
website, usually do approve the time, and then if you change it, you have to make sure space is available. This, usually, I don't think there's meetings following this ever,
Mm.
for the most part.
So we would just say the previous month,
But
like
if
the
you want-
preceding month, we would just change the time.
Or you
to
could
the-
do a special meeting if it doesn't work for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So it's no installation.
Make the motion to
Okay.
approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Commercial real estate update. I guess that's me. I feel like we just met. I don't think there's much new going on. I know that the pharmacy that's going into the corner space of 245 Amity got approved for their drive-through from the town, so that's cool. They're gonna have like a drive-through window on that.
Oh, is this what's across from Crest? Is it Union? Is that what's
No.
going on?
No,
So
it's
the liquor store went out of business.
the wine shop. Well, the Red Barn was
Yes,
on the
yes,
corner.
yes.
The Red Barn's gone, and a new mom and pop, a new local pharmacy is going to be going in there, and they went to the town to get approvals for the drive-through. I think the original drawings of the building way back when actually had an okay for a drive-through, but they had to go back and just resubmit it.
There's a drive-through on the backside of,
Yeah, right for saloon. Yeah, but it's now going to be on. There's going to be 2 drive-throughs there.
And there was a pharmacy there originally.
There was a pharmacy there. There was.
Very nice woman at that place, and I
Yeah,
think
still
she
got
was
the
there
same
like a year.
floors and ceilings that were
Yeah.
in there then, so they're gonna reuse everything, which is nice. And otherwise, I thought about this before I came here. I'm not aware of too much other
Whatever
new
happened to that
stuff going on.
soccer facility or whatever, not soccer, whatever bought the tennis,
I heard that that's on the market again, but I haven't seen it listed. Where the Tennis Central is?
yeah.
Yeah, I heard that whole property was on the market again, but I haven't seen it anywhere. I don't see any signs anywhere. So I'm not sure what's going on with it. Originally, I thought the folks that bought it were buying it and they were going to be eventually turning into some sort of a sports giant thing. But as of now, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. I heard through the grapevine that it's on the market, but when I called, I don't see it anywhere. So I don't think there's anything else that I'm aware of in town, unless anybody else is.
I have an interesting tidbit. So I manage the calendar on the website, and there was a grand opening, for Tide Cleaners, for free, like there's gonna be a drawing, there's gonna be free dry cleaning for this special day. So it was very kind of cool. The only thing was that, it's up there, replaced Ted's, I believe.
Oh, okay,
location,
okay.
Right? So, but it had an Oxford location. So I was a little confused, either whoever submitted from, I thought the person who submitted from Woodbridge just put in a different location, but in error, so I called. So it turns out that there's must be sort of like a franchise, and there's 4 Tides that are opening up in Connecticut. The person who got this franchise can open them up all through Connecticut. And they're just doing a grand opening in Oxford, but it's explained it took about a year from the time they opened Oxford to be up and running, because they have to conform to specific specifications. They all have to look exactly like, sort of like, I guess, a Dunkin' Donuts or something of that nature. So I thought that was a little interesting tidbit.
So did they do a grand opening at this one, or?
No,
Okay.
he said that, so I ended up, the phone number that was posted was the Oxford one.
Yeah.
And the manager of that location explained that, I guess the business operation is in Cincinnati. And he said that, from the time they began the process, it was a year till they were able to do their grand opening.
Wow.
So I explained to him, we only advertise Woodbridge things in our website, but that, hopefully when they're up and running. So it sounded like it would be a year off before they would be fully, haven't been in there, so I don't even know if they're operational at all, or if they're just, maybe just not set up yet to have their grand opening, I'm not sure. But
Interesting.
then it was interesting.
Any other business?
I don't know if you have a relationship at all, but with whatever's going on with NEPCO and West Haven, do we know if there's an opportunity still there now?
As far as I know, from what I've heard, I think they have more time on their lease here, and I don't think they're gonna go anywhere from here. I think they're gonna keep their brewing capabilities.
So they're not gonna do production in West Haven. That was one of the, stipulations when they went back to it, so I think the production's staying
I think
here,
it's
right?
staying here. I don't
Right,
think they're gonna.
well, but they've got this, they're getting this grant from the state for $600,000 for manufacturing, so there's a potential for them to go anywhere for the,
No, then I don't know any more than that. I've seen. I mean, the West Haven articles come up like every day, and the Patch or wherever else.
Yeah, because I thought that had fallen through.
It had fallen through,
And they're
then
reconsidering.
Then they
it, right?
reconsidered, and now they got approved to do. I just don't know when that's all going to happen. I mean, the timeline seems way out. It's going to take them a while. That building needs some love. Yeah. Yeah. So, the next item is business communication. That list. So what can we've got this list. There's not much we can do.
so the
with
list
this
doesn't
list.
have the actual business names.
Right.
It just has people's names and an email.
Oh, you're right.
Is there another tab that can be
Yeah.
added to it?
Was it just not downloaded, or is that all there is? It's probably all
Is there
there
a hidden
is.
column?
Because I see some business names are in the name column, like,
Yeah.
Like
you know
Academy
what?
of Dance.
I was looking, like I
Yeah.
see Danielle at littlebigshop.com, like I know that's a business in town. You're right, I have to look,
like Nebco. It's just listed under his name.
yeah.
Well, if you don't have that information, I think we could all probably fill in some of the blanks to get started. So if you could find out if there's a
Let me
capability.
go back and look, and maybe when I printed it, I just excluded that file, that column by mistake.
Right.
The ones we don't know, we can email them and say, "Who are you?"
Because there's a lot of names here,
Yeah.
and I'm curious if they're all how they're all affiliated as in this grouping as commercial business. I mean, it can't, there's a lot of people on this list. So some of them may just be people that, like I see Judy Cooper on here. I mean, I know Judy's a broker for a Coldwell Banker. So I don't know if that's, yeah,
You're-
interesting to see what this list
You're on
is.
here.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, let me see if I inadvertently left off a column, sorry. about
Okay.
that. I don't remember, I just know that they were all noted as business contacts and business
It's
emails.
probably from like when we have the happy hour list or whatever, you know, that social list. So obviously, like we would all be on that list.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got?
Is it, is it constant
This came from Constant Contact, so.
so, and that'll tell you how many, if they ever open their emails and all that, doesn't it?
So, yes. So the person
Because, I
who
mean, I see
sends
some,
out-
like my neighbor who's moved, so I'm guessing he probably never opens.
So I asked the person who sends out the communication if she gets kickbacks, and she was not really focused on that.
Well, even if they don't get kickbacks, the database will say 70, you know, how many times they,
Click-throughs.
Open.
yeah.
Yeah.
If it's like MailChimp, it shows, like
Yeah.
for each newsletter that's sent out, it'll tell them how many opened it.
My guess
Okay.
is this is probably a list that was from a lot of that happy hour stuff because there's people that work for other businesses that are in Woodbridge and so on and so forth. So that's probably what this is. But yeah, I mean, if there's another heading in there, that'd be good.
I'll double check,
Okay.
Okay,
Should-
thank you.
All right.
Hopefully there
Okay.
is. And if the field's empty for everyone, then, you know, I think I'm happy to help try to fill them in.
Okay.
So this is the list that they are mailing to all the communications to companies, so.
Yeah. I mean, some of them, it's obvious by the email address what the name of the company is.
So I guess once we have it, it's part of the is next steps. So once we have a full list and we can go through it all, then I guess that list is pretty valuable for EDC in terms of getting the word out for a lot of different things, for asking questions, posing ideas of some of the things we're working on. If there's
Right.
social happy hours, that kind of stuff. So it could be a good list for us to file away.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look at
I don't think we have any public comment.
Wouldn't it be better to shift that to the first part of the meeting in the future?
We used, well, probably a good idea.
Want you to say that again?
Wouldn't it be better to shift public comment to the beginning of the meeting?
Yeah, I mean, that's what most boards and commissions do, I think, but,
do that.
yeah.
And I wonder if
I'd be
EDC
excited
wants
if we
to.
ever had somebody show up for public comment.
Yeah.
We used to. We did used to have people show up for public comment. And then we also used to invite the new businesses, which I thought was a good thing that we used to do.
Oh, true, yeah.
And as you're gonna get more, we're gonna get more new businesses in Woodbridge, at least at 245 Amity and some other places. You've got a couple, that restaurant hopefully finally opens across from Amity Meat and all that stuff. So I think inviting those people to meetings is great.
Even if we invited who's doing like the Toll Brother development. Like, is
They're
there-
selling it
I
themselves.
guess like what I would be interested in knowing is Toll Brothers obviously has a number of different developments all over kind of this general area. I would like to hear from them, what do they think would be nice to add to Woodbridge to help attract and kind of grow that development.
That's interesting. Be a good idea. I mean, if we could reach out to them, I don't know which person, there's a million cars in that development right now every single day, so there's gotta be someone that could, be willing to talk it up. They're moving quick.
You might be able to learn something too if you got them. Why did they choose Woodbridge? Why did they choose that location, right? Like, could be something we could potentially use going forward. Right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get a sense of, as we look forward, talking with Micah, it's like, there's obviously been a change in the town, from even when we speak pre-COVID, right, to what we have now from a demographic base, with the big problems we have between the school, like what are we gonna do for the future, longer term, like some of those bigger questions, and then we can, as an EPC, come up with what should we be talking about, maybe that's an area where we can have
well, I'm,
What I'm coming from is, we talk about a lot of stuff,
yeah,
and maybe having an outside party come in to help us drive that conversation in a better framework, that would probably be beneficial.
yeah.
for us.
Oh, I totally agree with you, and, I mean, I think historically, developers do look at, you know, characteristics of a community, like, you know, what's available for shopping, et cetera. Right. But I think currently in the climate that we have now, it's just the shortage of housing and the older generation looking to downsize. I think like those are the major driving factors, and probably like the things that you're talking about, which are still important, we need to learn about. I think in this case of that development, probably were a little more minimized in their eyes. That's my guess, or my
Right.
hypothesis anyway.
But they picked Woodbridge, they picked our business district for a reason,
Yeah,
right? And to understand that, there may be something there that we
Yeah.
could use to go and promote.
oh, absolutely, yeah,
Right.
yeah, I wanna know for sure. I'm just, yeah, and similar, under the same topic, I was talking to a resident recently, and he had a question of, you know, why doesn't Woodbridge have more restaurants, and then what's going on with, you know, office space here? Could we, you know, maybe bring some office space here? And I said, it's like, well, you know, from the restaurant perspective, I worked in restaurants for many years, and not a lot of people know, but it's a tremendously hard business to be successful in, and even more so post-COVID. So that, you know, that's not something that prospective, you know, your business people are looking to get into. I mean, it's a high risk type of thing. So, and then to your point about the demographics changing, I said also, I was like, well, if there's younger families here in town, they may not have time to go to restaurants and things like that. So what I was saying is, like, we need to expand our thinking beyond
Right.
restaurants and things like that.
Though, that Toll Brothers Zone is gonna drive an influx into that area right now, that is going to change what's gonna be attractive in that area.
Mm-hmm.
That's a change of who lives down in that area right now.
Right.
I think that's could be something that stimulates that.
Yeah.
That
So
area,
right.
we need to figure out how to help with that.
So I think, yeah, so I think it could help, so, you know, some, like the new restaurant that's going in on Bradley Road,
Yeah.
you know, something like that, it could help with that business, and
Oh,
then,
this whole thing with, you know, this whole lots of application. I mean, all that money, that grant money is focused in that area. So
yeah.
I mean, it could. I
So
think.
I know have some base there, right?
Yeah.
We can have people, we can have walking, you know,
Mhm.
it does align nice with that 2030 plan
Yeah.
that's coming forward.
Right.
What is it around that general area though, too,
Mhm.
that maybe needs a little bit more focus,
Mhm.
and we can help there.
Mm.
Yeah. Tony, I just have one question. Do you know anything about this commission of the publicly owned property? Like what these meetings are about? I saw the emails that I've gotten, but what do they do? What are these discussions about?
So, yeah, COPOP is, there was a list that was created in 2014 that needed to be updated. And so it was a list of all properties in Connecticut, Woodbridge,
Yep.
that are owned by the town. Some have restrictions, some do not. So, or used by agencies. So there's 4 different categories of how the properties are dispositioned, if you will. And so they were focusing on those properties that do not have any restrictions on them. So that they want to look at them and make recommendations to the board in terms of what their recommendations might be. So they've just reached out to a few, so there's like close to 48 properties that they've identified that the town's owned for some time, and is it worth, so they wanna make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen in terms of, does it make sense to hold on to that piece of property, or, you know, what value is it bringing to the town? Or is it time maybe to think about seeing if it's, you know, putting it out there for sale, or whatever there might be. So they're reviewing each parcel that they've identified, so they went through the list, the original list from 2014.
Yeah.
They made sure that there's no restrictions, they've looked at deeds, they've done a lot of research to compile, you know, and maybe some things had to be changed in terms of how they were categorized. And so now they wanna meet to review each property individually, see if any other boards or commissions have interest or have a thought process in terms of what that property could be used for, either recreationally or, you know, I'm not sure, you know what. So they reached out to a lot of the existing committees and commissions and said, if you'd like to have an opinion or recommendation on this property, how it's used, let us know, and we'll include that as we put together our consideration and recommendation to the board. So,
Is that list housed somewhere? And is that,
Didn't Nicole present this to the Board of Selectmen in September's meeting, right?
She did, she's,
I
yes.
started watching it and then I got interrupted, so I didn't get to finish watching it.
Yes, so I only know because I sit on Group Puppet as well, and
Okay.
I've been working with them through this process. So, yeah, so she did present it,
Okay.
and she identified these 48 properties, or the properties of focus right now, and they've met on two properties already. There's another meeting coming up. So each meeting, they're gonna address a variety of the properties
it's interesting.
until they've exhausted the 48.
Okay.
So,
Who makes the decision on when to sell a property, keep a property?
they would make recommendations, and it's always up to the Board of Selectmen. Right, so, in other words, if recreation says, that might be a great recreational facility to build, I don't know, pickleball. Or, you know, or this property's in the middle of a residential area. You know, maybe it could have a different use.
Yes, the two properties that were in the email were 31 Enoch Drive and 9 Brookwood Drive, and it says they're looking for any input or thoughts from any of the commissions, and they're looking for input by Friday, November 24th. Those are the two properties, I guess, that they're going to speak about specifically.
Yes.
What was it?
The address, 31 Enoch, Enoch Drive, and 9 Brookwood Drive. And
That's up off of the northern section of Newton, right? I think.
Yeah.
Where you
Yeah.
guys-
Yeah.
And then if you have any comments or thoughts, or if it's a commission as a whole, email should go to Tony by Friday, 12 p.m., November 24th. It's interesting that they're doing that, though.
Yeah, it was interesting, the process was interesting. There was actually some subdivisions, there were some subdivisions where the properties were given as gifts, or, I'm trying to remember now, like, for theater gifts or something of that nature. It was a bizarre sort of.
They're like, there's a weird name for it, not postcard, but they're just like little squares of property that are inaccessible and not buildable, and
Yeah, and some
Yeah.
of it is like that too, right? So there's, you know, some were approved for subdivisions, but they never got built.
theater lots or something
Theater
like
lots,
that,
there you
yeah.
go, that's, yeah, theater
I remember
lots.
that from when we were on Coop Up. We kept talking about these theater lots.
Yeah.
So is that list on the town website, I know?
It is on the
It
town
is?
website.
Okay.
Mhm,
Cool.
no problem.
All right. That's all I have. Anyone else have any comments or any thoughts? No? Okay. Next meeting's December 14th, 6 p.m., same place, same time.
Okay.
Want to make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Dinner bell.
Thank you.